Welcome back to Black Hat 2025 at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Jackie McGuire, your practice lead, principal analyst, and favorite media host for security. I am here with Kat Cosgrove of Minimus. Welcome, Kat.
Howdy, happy to be here.
Awesome. You are the head of developer advocacy.
I sure am.
And we had you on theCUBE, I think, at Open Source Summit, right?
Yeah.
And you are a Kubernetes expert.
Yeah, I own the Kubernetes release team subproject. So 3 times a year, it's my job to make sure that Kubernetes gets outside the door safely.
Yeah.
And relatively on time. We consider release dates to be kind of a moving target.
Yeah. I'd rather ship right than on time, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, dude, same. I also am a tech lead for SIG Docs. So I own the Kubernetes website and the Kubernetes documentation.
Wow.
So
pretty small job. Yeah. I'm sure they can replace you with AI.
Oh, so quickly. so quickly. They definitely could. We've definitely gotten some like really sketchy drive-by PRs before, but we did establish like a policy-wide project of not allowing that. So
for the 3 people watching who don't know what Kubernetes is,
sure.
Can you explain what Kubernetes is?
Yeah, Kubernetes is a tool for orchestrating large clusters of containerized applications or like containerized code. You could do all of this manually by hand without something like Kubernetes, but it would be a pain to scale your application up and down by hand. Kubernetes handles all of that for you. Make sure that your containers and your applications stay up. If one of them goes down, it'll, depending on how you set it up, spin it back up again for you. So it makes sure that you can handle an adequate amount of load from users without much interaction from you.
So it's kind of like what we're trying to call AI agents right now, right? It just does things automatically for you.
It just does things automatically for you. Like it's really big, fancy, super complicated automation. That's all it is. And that's what a lot of AI is too, honestly.
But it's incredibly helpful. I threw a digital music festival in Minecraft where we had to have a whole bunch of different servers, and anytime one server hit more than 100 users, we had to automatically replicate. And so doing that stuff manually would make most projects unfeasible economically and from a manpower perspective. So it's really important.
It powers a frightening amount of today's infrastructure. It is the 2nd largest open source project in the world behind Linux itself.
Yeah.
So
no big deal.
No big deal. We're managing, I think, 1,300 currently contributors a month. So it's a lot of cats to herd.
Yeah. So let's. I know I'm the security person, so let's talk about the security of that with an open source project. Sure. Because you brought up Linux. We had XE Utils last year, which was it 2023? I don't know. I'm in a time warp. So they're obviously with open source. It is one of the most critical methods of creating technology, I would say, in our society.
For
and
sure.
It's what I think it's what the utopia of technology is supposed to look like, right? But unfortunately, it also creates opportunities for people who do contribute meaningfully for a while to then do bad things. Yeah. So how do you think about kind of balancing the benefits of having this robust community of experts with the need to babysit them and make sure they're not bad actors?
So there's not actually a ton of babysitting involved in a project like Kubernetes. We are a very large, very mature project. So we have a lot of automated controls in place to make sure that the wrong people don't have dangerous permissions. However, like somebody like me with like significantly elevated permissions, I could, in theory, if I wanted to, and I could get 1 or 2 other people with similar permissions to work with me, do some really nasty stuff to the Kubernetes code. I could. So there is just some trust that has to exist, assuming that like I and 2 of my friends are not going to go like sneak something scary into Kubernetes. But, a lot of it I feel is there's just more publicity on breaches and incidents with open source today than there was 10 or 15 years ago. Open source software is inherently more secure than proprietary software because we can move faster. If I did something to screw with Kubernetes, it would get noticed and rolled back so fast. So fast it would make your head spin. It would be unfathomably difficult for me to hide it. And if I did manage to hide it long enough for it to make it through a release cycle and actually get
Which is why we've
pushed.
really only seen a couple of these in decades, right?
Yeah.
Where everywhere else you're seeing vulnerabilities left, right, middle.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
Like, well, and I think that's another thing that's really important is not just the you have experts contributing, but to your point, you also have experts monitoring.
Yeah.
And we've seen a number of vendors in the last couple years who had these critical security incidents or, CVEs, and they don't disclose them for days, weeks, sometimes months. And because you don't have independent third-party eyeballs, you're subject to the whims of a private company. So I think that's something to highlight as being extremely important as well.
Yeah, the like radical openness of open source means that like, issues get noticed pretty quickly. Yeah. And a project as large and mature as Kubernetes functions a lot like a business. Like we have an org structure, like there are people I report to, there are people that report to me. We have like a security response council as well. They're relatively independent. They all sign NDAs. I have to sign an NDA as the owner of the release team subproject because sometimes I have to know in advance when there's something coming down from Go or whatever. But like,
well, I guess arguably there's enough North Korean hackers working at private companies that you're no more vulnerable than those private,
right.
And then because of the extra eyeballs, probably less, right?
Yeah. So we function a lot like a company, but it's a company you can see straight through, right? Like our whole org chart is public. All of us are easy to get a hold of, and like all of the code is in public. And because it's an open source project, if you notice something, PR is welcome.
Yeah.
File an issue.
Yeah. So it's almost like you guys are just practicing basic security hygiene, like privileged access management, and things like that.
Yeah. And we're doing it all in public, and other people do learn from us as a project. A lot of people give talks about the way Kubernetes is structured from an organizational perspective, or about how security works within the Kubernetes project. So other smaller projects get to like learn and figure out how to behave from us with our cumulative decades of probably centuries of experience. Something like 200-ish maintainers, with all of them with quite a lot of experience. So
I guess that was my next question was, what do you feel like the community could be doing to better help this effort, since it is so key to almost every technology we use?
Yeah. We have a lot of contributors, but we also have a lot of work to do. Some SIGs are like better staffed than others. SIG release is very, very well staffed. That's where I spend most of my time because we're very public facing. We're very flashy. People want to get involved in the release team because they want to put it on their resumes. But there are other parts of the project that are understaffed in spite of the fact that we have 1,300-ish monthly contributors, and they need help too. And like, more eyes, more hands, more different kinds of experience make for a better and more secure project. And it doesn't matter how much experience you have. Somebody who's new, like a relatively junior engineer, is going to see things and have ideas that we won't with years of experience. We'll miss it, right? So,
are there specific areas of expertise you want people to reach out if they have?
We do, in fact, always need more people helping with docs. We don't allow features into Kubernetes that have user-facing changes without documentation, but that standard is pretty minimal.
Every tech company in the world could use more docs.
They could, yeah. So like, there's nothing in Kubernetes that you can touch that isn't documented, but that documentation can always use improvement, and it can always use localization into other languages. So if you speak a language that is not English, please do come help. I think the second largest localization project is Hindi. So
if you're a Hindi speaker and you want to contribute to the community who has helped you build the foundation for most of the technology you use, please reach out, because documentation isn't sexy, but it's something I think you can do one thing that helps thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
For sure. Like making the project like more easily usable and like easier to learn the intricacies of how it works does make it easier for us to keep it secure.
Yeah.
Because somebody could dig in and find, oh, hey, that actually doesn't behave exactly the way it's documented, and I think that's exploitable. That's a problem we need to fix. We do also have a security SIG. All other SIGs have to answer to some degree to horizontal SIGs like security and docs. So if you are specifically interested in Kubernetes security, SIG Security is a really, really great place to go. And the SIG Security chairs are very sweet and very responsive people.
That's amazing. What drew you to Minimus?
Well, I work in containers right now. so
you couldn't contain yourself?
I couldn't contain myself. Yeah, I spent a long time working like just generally in DevOps, and I was getting like a little bored working generally in DevOps while in my spare time I was doing, Kubernetes maintainer stuff. So everything I do for Kubernetes was happening in my spare time after work, because I was working for like some DevOps tooling company or some infrastructure as code company, and it wasn't directly relevant to my job to still be a maintainer. But Minimus is explicitly a container security company building like, minimal secured images, and that is directly relevant to my job as a Kubernetes maintainer. So first of all, they let me do Kubernetes maintainership on the clock, which is a great way for any company to support open source. If you can't throw money at the project directly, you can throw people.
And if we think people are always working 40 hours a week remotely, that's probably not true.
It's not true.
And if you let your employees have 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours a week to work on something that's meaningfully fulfilling to them, I don't think you're going to find that it's at the sake of their other work. It will most likely be in addition to, because we've all got bandwidth for things that spark joy.
For sure.
But the next Zoom meeting isn't usually that for me.
So like they let me do something that does spark joy, that I genuinely enjoy doing on company time, because it's beneficial for them too. But also because I think it's a cool solution to a problem that is going to increasingly rear its head. People are using a lot of just super bloated container images with God only knows what.
I'm the poster child. I am the poster child. I had John Morello on yesterday from Minimus, and I was telling him, as a data scientist, the rule was you open your Jupyter notebook, you pip install, and import everything you ever thought you wanted in the world, even if you don't need it, and then, you just push it. And I think obviously having fewer dependencies and packages and all of that thing, it makes the containers more secure, but it makes them way cheaper to run. And at the end of the day, if you are a CISO and you are trying to sell our containers will be more secure, you are dead in the water every day. If you are selling your CEO by making our containers more secure, we're going to save 50, 75, 80% of the cost. That's a really easy way to get somebody to write a check.
It sure is. But before I was a developer advocate, I was a software engineer, and I was specifically an embedded Linux engineer. And that's how I learned Kubernetes. I was trying to run K3S on like really, really, really small devices. And having smaller containers makes it easier to do more on a smaller device with fewer resources.
They also crash less.
They crash less. There's less to debug when something weird goes wrong. Like it feels better in every possible way. So like from a technology standpoint, I am a minimalist, even though in real life I'm very much a maximalist. My house is full of like weird knickknacks and crap.
I am the epitome of conservative minimalism, obviously.
I can tell. Yeah, you for sure are.
I try to shrink it to the background as much as possible.
You're so normal. Yeah.
So what's up next for you? What's next on your agenda? What are you excited about this year that you're working on?
I've got about 1,000,001 conferences this year, about 1,000,001 conferences, but I get to go to some new places that I've never been to before. I've never been to Australia, and I'm getting shipped to Australia to keynote DevOps Days Wollongong. So
that's amazing. I haven't been either, and that would be
really jazzed for that one. So that'll be fun. I'm going to take a few extra days and go hiking in the Blue Mountains. I think do some rock climbing.
I recently started rock climbing indoors, and it's...
Oh my God, welcome to the hobby.
And I have 3 kids, and I bring them with me, and it's so cool to watch them like challenge themselves. And I had done it before, but I was always too scared to boulder, and I just started bouldering, this
Bouldering
time
is my preferred rock climbing as well, Yeah,
I had my biggest fall from like 12 or 13 feet up a couple days ago.
Did you scream?
No.
Good job.
No, I landed, I crumpled, I did the whole thing, and I was, it was one of those things that I was like, this is a milestone in my life of like being terrified and doing it anyway. And like that's always been my thing in life, but it felt like an extra accomplishment to be like, no, I really did go for that last rock, and I fell off and I got back up and I did it. Like,
good for you. Yeah. That's really key. Not getting like freaked out or discouraged by failing. It's a sport that really relies on you being okay with failing repeatedly, which is
only competing against yourself. Like, you have to be very self-motivated, and I think it's a lot of things you can carry into work in terms of
For sure.
holding yourself accountable to being an increasingly better version of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm a developer advocate. I give a lot of conference talks. I do a lot of demos on stage, and I have to be okay with that demo failing on stage and like not fall apart when that happens, because it is a when. Yeah. It's not an if. It is going to happen to you someday.
Yeah.
So having a sport that also forces you to be okay with falling over in
then
public.
You figure out none of your friends and family stop loving you because you failed.
Yeah.
So you just keep rolling.
Yeah, usually the audience, when your demo barfs on stage, they just, they feel a little bad for you, but they're not thinking, oh my God, like this loser can't even get through a demo, because we've all seen it happen.
It makes
before.
you more relatable. I always say that me being a little bit of a hot mess, I think, makes me at least a little bit relatable and charming.
For sure. Yeah, it does. I've had a laptop fully crash during a demo on stage before. Fortunately, I had a second laptop because somebody who mentored me early in my career was like, this happened to me once. Always travel with 2 laptops, have your demo ready to go on 2 different machines. And resiliency. Have some redundancy.
Almost like cyber hygiene.
Almost, yeah. And I didn't believe her. And then it happened to me at Scale at the SoCal Linux Expo.
Wow.
So like not a great feeling. That's a good conference. It's a difficult conference to get a speaking slot at, and so didn't feel good crashing there, but I was so glad I had the backup.
Yeah. Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Everybody should go find you, Kat Cosgrove. You're amazing, brilliant. If you're a Kate's user, you definitely need to be following Kat. Appreciate having you. Thank you so much.
So happy to be here. Thank you.
For theCUBE, I'm Jackie McGuire. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada for Black Hat 2025. We will be right back with more amazing guests and great content. Stay tuned.